Hey everybody, welcome to Performance Anxiety, proud member of the Pantheon Podcast Network. Our guest this episode is drummer Chris Lacinak. Chris has drummed with some legendary people like Gatemouth Brown, Papa Molly, Tab Benoit, and Adam Peters of Echo and the Bunnymen and Family of God, to name a few. But his love of New Orleans jazz and second-line drumming drove him to form his band Junko Beat with Vernon and Will Snowden. This episode was an education for me in a genre of music that I was not at all familiar with, but am now deeply intrigued by. Chris tells some great stories of touring with Gatemouth, moving all over the country and playing sessions, and there's some great New Orleans jazz history in here. So there's something for everybody. Check out Junko Beat's new album Satirafunk on streaming services or their website junkobeat.com. Subscribe, rate, and review the show, and follow us at Performance ANX on all the socials. And let's jump right into some funky stuff with Chris Lacinak and Junko Beat. All right, so I'm still rolling, so whenever you're ready, take it away.
I'm so nervous. I'm so nervous. Hey, y'all. This is Chris Lacinak coming to you from Junko Beat. So happy to do the podcast with Mark at Anxiety is Performance. And I'll try not to be too nervous, but I hope you enjoy the podcast.
Oh, thank you so much for joining me, man. This is great.
Yeah, pleasure. I appreciate the invite.
Oh, of course, of course. I don't get a chance to do much with jazz and funk types of artists, people in those genres. And not that I haven't reached out, but I just haven't had the opportunity to talk a lot. So this is going to be great for me. This is kind of, for me, this is going to be kind of a learning experience because I don't know lots about those genres in New Orleans, music from New Orleans. So it's outside of country artists.
You normally more singer-songwriter or
me? No. Oh gosh, I've got a lot. I usually end up honestly listening to heavier stuff. But I'm not exclusive to that. I love there's an awesome guy in Morgan Gear, plays for Freakwater, but he's also got his own band Drunken Prayer. He's definitely in the country side of things that I love.
Oh yeah.
There's all kinds of stuff. Black Rebel Motorcycle Club is one of my favorite bands of all time. They're more on the rock side. Going the heavy spectrum is Devin Townsend. So there's a whole bunch of people that I really enjoy listening. In fact, we're recording this on a Thursday. Tomorrow, I'll be releasing the episode I did with Buzz Osborne from the Melvins.
Okay.
So, I got a pretty wide spectrum, but jazz is and funk and it's not my wheelhouse. I'm not super comfortable with it. So I'm hoping to learn some from you.
Okay, well, maybe I can, bring some enlightenment through some history or, of New Orleans music and how it kind of developed.
Well, I do want to, I want to learn first.
The influence it's had on me.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what I want to talk about first is how you got into drumming. Was drumming what you started off doing? And how old were you when you started playing music?
Well, I guess I kind of started off playing on, we had a little plastic Magnavox organ with the push button white and black keys on the left side and little small keys.
Okay.
I think I was probably 3 or 4 when I could recall paying attention to that and learning songs. And I learned I remember learning the Marines Battle Hymn of the Republic, I guess it is.
Yeah.
For my dad. My dad was a veteran of World War II, a Marine.
Oh, wow.
And, so I recall doing that. That was some of the first stuff I did, and I was kind of learning, teaching myself a little bit out of this Big Note songbook. And then, but I do recall being at a Mardi Gras parade, and my mom was holding me up so I could see the parade. So I must have been very young. And when the drum section came by, or the marching bands, I just, was enthralled by the sound and the power of it.
Yeah.
And, if you've ever been to New Orleans for Mardi Gras, the marching bands down here, they sound different than, like I say, a marching band from the Midwest or whatnot, due to the heavy rhythmic influences. Really from Africa and the Caribbean that, have influenced New Orleans music for I got to say, probably centuries at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was your family musical? I mean, you said your dad was a Marine, but did he play an instrument? Was your mom musical?
Yeah, they encouraged it. I had an older brother and sister that, were teenagers when the early teenagers when the Beatles came out. Okay. So, so they had records left over from that, and so I got a lot of experience through that. But just being in New Orleans, and there was a church not far from my house where they'd have second lines, and it just, I guess growing up and hearing the music constantly had an impact.
Okay, that brings me to my first question, because you've actually written on this subject. And what is a second line?
Okay, well, there's a couple of definitions for it, and from what one of my great teachers, Vernon, great New Orleans drummer, that made some noise in the jazz world when I took a lesson with him. He talked about the old days before, radio, that have the promoters of a dance, per se, in happening somewhere, would hire the band, and they would go from neighborhood to neighborhood and play. And people would fall in behind them and dance their way to the establishment where the dance was taking place. And they were called the second liners. And so it's not a particular type of dance. It's as individual kind of dancing as anyone could possibly do. It doesn't matter how you express it. And it's pretty amazing. And also, the other definition is for the jazz funerals, one that have a brass band and the coffin, and the coffin first, I guess, and the brass band. And no, actually, I'm sorry, the band was first when I did them anyway. Okay. And behind the coffin were the mourners people, and they were considered to be in the second line as well. And then after the burial, when they would leave, they'd go to a repast or a function afterwards where there'd be food and stuff. Then they would second line. The band would kick up a faster tune. Then when they go to back up a little bit, when they go to the cemetery, they would play a dirge, slow dirge march, like A Closer Walk With Thee. And then when they would leave, they would kick it up and play something like Didn't He Ramble, or you hear the snare, that kind of a groove. Yeah. And then so they would repass at that tempo, and people would dance. But like Vernon was saying, he said people didn't really dance, like all out due to the circumstances. Right. He said, but there was like one guy that would be like going crazy or something.
I was always that one guy.
Yeah, there's that one guy. But,
it's usually me.
Yeah, so that's kind of the history of it in the second line, and it's grooves that are derived from the African and Caribbean influences that came into New Orleans, centuries ago, and has evolved over time to where we have the African American community in New Orleans now. And years ago, they started, I guess following the Civil War, they started social aid and pleasure clubs to take care of the communities, for insurances and burials. And so it was a socially knit, close-knit communities all around the city. And they would have Mardi Gras Indians. There was a big connection with the Native American Indians here in Louisiana with the African Americans. Okay. And so we have these the Mardi Gras Indian tribes, which some of them are famous. They always have bands and stuff. I think in the 70s was when they first a guy named William Turbington put together a funk group. He was a keyboardist behind the Mardi Gras Indians, which is mostly the percussion instruments and call and response kind of songs. Oh, okay. And he put together those first recordings, I think, in the 70s, and then it's evolved into, many different aspects of presenting that style. But you could hear like the Wild Magnolias, the Wild Chapatulas.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And so those groups are, Bull Dallas and the Wild Chapatulas was probably the most famous. And that was the original recordings they did in the 70s with him.
Oh, okay,
they toured quite a lot. Yeah, I played some gigs with them along the way.
I heard about that. So when did you start playing professionally then? How old were you?
Oh, I was probably, I think, high school we had a band, and, we played little block parties and stuff. And,
okay.
Make like 20 or 30.
Yeah.
But probably like, when I was 16, 17. And then, I think I was about 18 when I landed a little gig in a hotel here, a 5-night-a-week country and western gig.
Oh, wow.
And did that, and then went on to Bourbon Street and played in clubs up and down Bourbon Street while I was going to college. And then we would get house gigs. And back then there were a lot of house gigs, 5 nights a week, 6 nights a week.
Oh, okay.
Then we'd have gigs, late night gigs from 2 a.m. to 6 a.m.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. So, coming up, I mean, at times, I think my record was 11 gigs in 3 days.
Oh, my God.
Something like that. Yeah, because I'd do the late night gigs, then I'd have a brunch, and then I'd go play a wedding, and then an afternoon party, and then a gig at night, and then, get up the next day.
Oh, my God.
It used to be crazy. The work, there was so much.
That's awesome, though. That's pretty wild. That's I can't even imagine.
Yeah, keep going.
I mean,
it's a lot of playing.
Yeah, I mean, that's like running like
different groups too. Not the same group. It's all different stuff.
God, I mean, and I mean, playing drums for that long. I mean, I imagine doing a normal gig is like running a marathon. You're like running a marathon for 3 days straight.
Yeah, I was a lot younger then, though. But nowadays, like before the lockdown, I've been playing little gigs down in New Orleans and stuff, and for tourists, and they're long gigs, 6-hour gigs.
God.
Sometimes I do a double, 10 hours, 12 hours, same club one time, And but I'm grateful for it because that's how I put this record out.
Oh, yeah. Imagine. I want to find out about some of these amazing people that you've played with, because I was looking at what I'm sure is a very short list. And some of these guys are...
That's not...
Yeah, some of these guys are amazing, like Gatemouth Brown, Tab Benoit,
yes.
Wolfman Washington.
Uh-huh.
That's just... these guys are legendary.
Yeah, it's all lies, so I didn't really do that.
Oh, okay.
I'm just kidding. Sorry. I hope you listen to that.
Best lies ever.
Yeah, I have had the honor of playing with all those people.
That's got to be insane.
Yeah, and a few others. Yeah, I spent some time on the road with, Henry Butler, for instance, who was an incredible pianist in New Orleans. He just recently passed away. I'm sorry.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, he had stomach cancer. But I did some with him and Papa Molly. I guess those were the last two people I've been out with. But I've mostly been staying close to home. But it was a real treat playing with all those folks in one form or another. Most of those gigs were road gigs.
Yeah.
And it was,
you got to have some incredible stories. I love that kind of life. You got to have some great stories then.
Well,
stories about being on the road with a Gatemouth. I mean, that's to me, that's amazing.
Well, yeah, Gatemouth. We once, I was playing with a singer here in New Orleans, Juanita Brooks, and we had a little tour in Europe. And so we got on a bus. It's one of those summer tours. They line up with New Orleans musicians all the time.
Right.
And there were 5 bands on the bus. And I wasn't playing with Gate at this time, but Gate's band was on the bus. We had the Harlem All-Stars from New York City.
Oh, yeah.
And their average was probably about 80. They had played with Billie Holiday and Count Basie and all these people. And so we're all on the bus, and we had a brass band from New Orleans too. Big Al Carson was playing sousaphone. He's kind of a legend down here now. He doesn't do that anymore. He just sings and entertains.
Okay.
But yeah, we're on the bus, and slow down. Okay, everybody off the bus in the restaurant. Okay, everybody back on the bus. And we're talking about, I don't know, 35, 40 people. And so Gatemouth Band starts to move like we're cattle, like, woo. When the bus would slow down and all, and Gatemouth went back and said, "Oh, knock that, move it off. Well, Juanita might think you're moving that up." Oh. Juanita was kind of a big girl, but that's what was not what it was about. But by this time, man, all the Harlem All-Stars started doing it. The 80-year-olds. They couldn't say anything. So man, the whole tour, like every time you'd hear the motor, you'd hear, it sounded like a whole word. Yeah, that was pretty funny.
Oh my god!
I ran into the guitar player Al Casey like a year later in New York, and he was so old that he didn't quite remember me. And I'm like, yeah, man, I was on the Moon Tour with you. I was like, oh yeah, that's right.
The Moon Tour.
The vodka in the airport. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's just one.
Oh, man. I'm going to have to resurrect a Moo Tour somehow.
The Moo Tour, yeah.
That's
and then when I got back to the States, and I got in, and I was playing an original band from New Orleans, Tribe Nunzio. 2 days later, I jumped in the vehicle, and we're driving out to Colorado to play. Oh, we stopped on the side of the road. There's this huge valley with thousands of cows. And I don't know. I was just, I was still doing the cow thing. So I did a couple of moves. And next thing you know, there's like thousands of cows running towards us. It's this huge valley. All of them moving and everything. I'm like, this is crazy, man.
Oh, my gosh.
So we got... That's my cow stories.
It's the first time I've ever had cow stories on the show, so that's great.
Okay, all right. Well, we're the first.
Yeah. At what point did you go from New Orleans and to moving to New York City?
Okay. I was in my 20s. I guess I really kind of started gravitating towards jazz.
Okay.
More than when I was growing up. It was a bit of rock, and then. But I always loved jazz, and I met a friend of mine who worked at a record store, and he started a little older guy, my friend Dale Peterson, and he started turning me on to all the greats. And so I started learning about it, and then I went to the University of New Orleans and studied with Charles Blanc, who I played in their jazz bands there, and kind of got my introduction to jazz drumming and what I needed to do to develop that ability to express yourself to that,
right.
What it all meant. So, I always thought of going to New York City because I was the jazz capital in a sense. And so I eventually just, so on the road with a couple of friends, and we're like, is this it, man? This is what we got to look forward to. And some Kansas City,
yeah.
I don't know. We were young and had big, ambition. But so my friend Rick and we got back to New Orleans, and we applied to William Patterson College, and I got accepted. It's a limited study program up there. Rufus Reed was the department head.
Okay.
It's right outside of New York City. So my friend Rick ended up not going. He ended up in New York later, played with Miles Davis, whatnot, Mark Gibson. But I went and studied there and got a degree in jazz studies at William Patterson and had my introduction to New York City. And it was cool. And then after I got out of school, went on the road with a touring band, a top 40 touring band, and then ended up back in New Orleans. Ended up in Miami for a while, playing with some friends down there. Back in New Orleans, went back to New York. I was living up there, and I got a little State Department gig in Thule, Greenland,
Oh, wow.
Which was the top of the world, man. It's like 600 miles from the North Pole. And it was in January.
Oh.
There was no sun for like 2 weeks. And I got back to New York, and I was staying at my buddy's house, the pianist, out in Jersey. And my roommate in New York calls me, Walter, says, hey, don't bother to come back to the apartment because I didn't renew the lease and we've been robbed.
Oh, jeez.
So I lost one of those, New York stories. I lost all my stuff.
Oh.
So I came back to New Orleans and, and continued to have things stolen from me.
Oh, jeez.
Period. Anyway, I ended up joining a band called Tribe Nunzio in New Orleans. I played with them for about 3 years. And,
okay.
And aside from that, was all original band, and aside from that, doing other little gigs. And that was really rewarding. It was a band, and up until that point, I never really was in a band per se. It was always like a gig,
Okay.
And I'm playing these people, or playing that music with those people, and you're playing the gig or whatever. This was a band. We're writing music together. We're traveling together. We're,
Yeah, you're not just supporting somebody else.
Yeah, I found that to be very rewarding. And I like both worlds, but I like that. So I always try to have my own band to do that, But it's hard because some players good players are busy.
Yeah.
So, it's sometimes hard.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
You don't want somebody just sitting around because chances are he's not very good.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
What year are you?
When was that?
Yeah.
Oh man, I hate to say it. That was like 25 years ago. I've been doing this a long time, man.
That's good. It means you're good.
Yeah.
You're not one of those guys sitting around. Yeah, you're not one of those guys sitting around doing nothing.
No, not most of the time. Yeah, yeah. But I wanted to go back to New York, and I did on that point. But after that little experience with the robbery, I came back here, and I ended up joining those guys. And I was kind of discouraged about the jazz world, and this band, the Tribe Nunzio band, was pretty popular. We had a really fantastic female singer that was a great performer as well, and had a good following, and just the energy of people dancing and really, putting on shows. Yeah, that's what I really loved. And it's not like you're playing in some restaurant where you background music. Right.
Is that what was discouraging you about the jazz world, or was there something else that was going on?
It's somewhat. Yeah, it's. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, there's this incredible music coming out of jazz players, and then again, not incredible too. The ones that listen can play, but I just found it sometimes to kind of be stale. And, I guess you study a style for so long and, okay, this is what it is, and you got that, and I want something new. I want to keep moving. Yeah. Well, I'm not comparing myself to like the Miles Davis, but, in a sense that's what he did. He kept changing, evolving the musical styles that he was into. Exactly. So that's what I'm trying to do. And, with the Satira Funk, I'm trying to bring all kinds of elements together. And hopefully it melds together well.
I want to ask you about this too, about the band. So how did you meet up with the band? So there's the core is you on drums, bassist Vernon Rome, and cellist Will Snowden.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
So the first question I have for you is, what is Junko Beat? What does that mean?
Okay. Well, there's a song that was around New Orleans called Junko Partner.
Okay.
Dr. John put it on his gumbo record.
Oh, okay.
And James Booker played it as well. It's actually a song about a junkie. When I lived in New York, I had a band called Junko Partners. Well, we were playing a club, and the guy that booked us and all, comes back and says, okay, you bunch of junkies, I want you to do a great show out there tonight. And we're like, okay, but we're not junkies, but okay, we'll do a great show. But, so I decided to, when I came back to New Orleans, I decided to change the name and put the connotation on the beat.
Right.
Junko Beat, you know, and it's kind of referring to the swagger of New Orleans kind of rhythms, you know.
Okay.
But I later found out that it's actually a female name, a Japanese name for women.
Oh, really?
And, yeah, and it's ironic because the way Junko Beat is like, it's based on what I like to call the mother beat, which is
okay.
And that rhythm is in every culture in the world.
Oh, really?
Every culture has that rhythm. And
oh, wow.
Some people say it's half clave, or, you know, the clave is and that's, you know, Afro-Cuban music, Cuban music. But
okay.
The rhythm also made it to New Orleans. But in New Orleans, they swing the beat a little more than with the Latinos would play. They play it more straight.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, okay. Okay.
Yeah, swing through it in New Orleans. But yeah, so the mother beat, and a lot of my grooves come out of that rhythm. And, you know, there's different rhythms that you can layer on top of that. So that's pretty much how a lot of the funk came about, you know.
See, you were worried you didn't have anything that you could teach me.
Oh, you never know.
So how did you end up meeting Vernon and Will?
Okay, well, Vernon was in Tribe Nuncio.
Okay.
And yeah, so we go way back. We've been bestest of friends since those days. And he went on to take a job with the State Highway Department, and so he's left the New Orleans thing. When I moved to let me back up a little bit. When I moved to New York City, the band was still going. I left the band for various reasons, and they continued on for a couple of years, I think, and then it folded, and he went to work for them. But when I came back to New Orleans, we got together and played some music and, enjoy it. And so we started working on bass, and I met Will. My niece was interested in playing cello, so I have an old friend who's a luthier here in New Orleans. So I went to visit him to see if I could get a cello, and Will was in there trying to get his cello fixed, and I said, "No, I need a cello player." And he said, "Oh, really?" I'm like, "Yeah." And he was a public defender in Orleans Parish at that time.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, he's a smart dude, man. He works for he's doing justice advocacy nationwide.
Oh, wonderful.
Nonprofit. So yeah. So heavy dude.
That's fantastic.
He's got it. Yeah, he's got a flexible schedule, so we go on the road sometimes, and although we hadn't been out in a couple of years, I guess.
Okay.
But hopefully that's going to change soon.
Well, yeah, hopefully
this record will.
So when you guys
get out there a little bit.
Yeah, hopefully things open up a bit too. I mean, that would help out a lot too.
Yeah, forever. Yeah.
So when you guys got together to just, I guess, feel each other out, did you have an idea of the sound you wanted, or did it just kind of spring up organically?
Well, I kind of had a sound in my head, and I have a studio in my house, and I'll do demos and then pass it on.
Okay.
And write tunes, and the way I like to write is like it's kind of like chapters. A song has chapters in it, and not always. And some sections will be open, like there's not, you're off the charts in a sense.
Okay.
And then a melody might be introduced, which is like a cue for the next section. So just kind of learn these little melodies, and it's really like I'm trying to have it be free and open so people can play their instruments and improvise. And so we're playing live. It doesn't necessarily happen so much on the record, but live we do more of that. but then we, have composed sections, so it doesn't just hopefully sound like a, free fiasco jam session.
Yeah, exactly.
It goes on for 45 minutes. And
aimlessly wandering around. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsors.
I remember I played a gig here in New Orleans with some friends of mine, and we started playing, and we didn't know what we were going to play. We just started jamming in this club, and we played the same song for 45 minutes.
Oh my gosh. That's all. That could go either way. That could be amazing or just a train wreck.
Yeah. I think it was pretty cool, though. I think people got going.
Well, one thing that I've noticed that I've had a couple people on who said they've done stuff like that. Like I had Trey Gunn on, and they said that when they did the King Crimson, the improv stuff, that was legitimately improv. And he said sometimes it was great, sometimes it was terrible. But I found that if you're competent at your instrument, a lot of times it'll be at least listenable. So it usually goes off the rails when somebody gets completely lost.
Yeah, that would happen.
Yeah.
But, that would happen. But it's the whole trick is listening and fitting in.
Yes. Yeah.
God, it's like Rufus Reed would say, man, when I was in school, it's just 75% of your attention should be on listening and 25% on what you're actually playing.
That's good.
That way,
that's good.
Yeah, fit in. It's like a conversation, you can't, if four people are talking and having a back and forth and everybody has a window to speak and all, and then all of a sudden somebody comes up and starts, what are y'all talking about? And then just ramrods the conversation and anybody can't get a word in, and they're just rambling on and on.
It all goes south.
Walk away.
Yeah.
It's the same with music. That's just kind of how it works. And jazz is beautiful like that because you get that interaction, and so you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Like I recall we were playing. Tribe Nunzio used to do that a lot. We'd go off sometimes, and we were playing a gig in Jackson Hole, Wyoming.
Oh.
And they were having a Native American show, like a product show or a trade show.
Okay.
And they all came into the club that night, and they were dancing, in front of the band. And Vernon, who is part American Indian, all of a sudden he goes up to the mic and he starts like, hey, no, hey.
Oh.
I don't know what he was doing.
Wow.
But, some kind of Indian chant or something.
Yeah.
And the Indians were going, and we all looked at each other and said, well, I guess we got to go with him.
Yeah.
But quite the character, man. John Magny, he did some work with, I don't know if you know the Subdudes.
Yeah.
Those guys.
Yes.
Yeah, from New Orleans, but they're friends of ours. And John Magny was like, yeah, that guy, he's the closest thing to pure animal that I've ever seen in a musician.
Oh man. That is awesome. Yeah. Well, that explains some of the great music. Now, the Satira Funk is the second album by Junko Beat.
That's correct, yeah.
And it took...
First one is...
I was going to say, this one took 2 years to record. Was everybody just busy, or were you guys just playing out that much? What was going on? Why did it take 2 years?
Well, that's a good question. Let me try to answer that. Well, the song kind of grew, they kind of came together here and came together there, and, we played them live, and some of them developed a little bit here, a little bit there. We went in the studio, we cut a couple of songs, and I'd take it home and, maybe do some overdubs and, and another song would come up and I'd work on that. And so, I guess the thing was too that, we had a run there where we were going out on the road a bit, and like up until a couple of years ago, and I just started staying in New Orleans and playing other little gigs around town, and kind of getting my studio settled and all that, and so life, things happen.
Oh yeah.
That was a big part of it too, to be honest.
Okay.
But I'm so happy. I mean, I thought I was going to have this thing out last summer. And,
oh wow.
Oh yeah. So I've learned to be patient, and it's not ready. So, but and then we had to slow down with the the COVID thing.
Yeah.
And, I had it slated to come out right during the Jazz and Heritage Festival here in New Orleans, and so all that got nixed. And I just went down to the record store today, and the two that are in New Orleans, and dropped off some LPs. But there's nobody in the stores, nobody's on the street.
I know, it's crazy.
And then we have all this craziness going on with the rioting and all the looting.
Yeah, exactly. That's scary stuff.
People going bad. Yeah. So we get through all.
Well, the first album, Gem Chronic. Yeah. And then you have Satira Funk. Did you approach the album, the Satira Funk, differently than the first album? Was there, or is it just a continuation of the band and progressing of its sound?
Yeah, it's a continuation.
Okay.
Basically, yeah. I mean, I kind of I'm always just trying to write and, produce songs, record. I mean, I have stuff in the can that I don't even know how to release because it's not really in the I would say it wouldn't be in a genre of a Junko Beat kind of vibe.
Wow.
So it's sitting, local tunes and stuff. It's just kind of sitting there.
Oh,
and I'm not really, not really a great vocalist, so
you should put it up on Bandcamp.
Yeah. Well, we have a website now, and I guess years ago, I thought, man, if I could just make a bunch of records, and when I get older, I might have something to fall back on.
Right.
And, right. So then, Napster came out and all this streaming, and now,
that doesn't work anymore.
Yeah. So I don't know. I got my own website up now, and I put the Satira Funk and the Jam Chronic album up there, and I also produced some records for a great jazz tenor saxophonist here in New Orleans, Frederick Shep, as everyone knew him. And we recorded some songs after Katrina. I think it was in 2006.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, he passed away 3 weeks following the recording.
Gosh. Wow.
Yeah, it was hard, man. And it took me a year of just, anguish. And it takes a long time, I mean, I started doing a lot of the mixing myself. After mixing with some real, with some really great mixers that taught me amazing amount of things, like a guy named David Farrell here in New Orleans, especially him, and my friend Craig Bishop in New York. So they kind of got trained on the job.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Even when I started on a 4-track, when I was living in New York City in the 90s, I started, my first record on a 4-track, and I always got the comments from people like, "Yeah, that's a good ear, yeah." So I get encouragement, So I don't know. I've always been into the tape machines. When I was a kid, I remember my uncle had one with 3 heads where you get echoes on and stuff.
Oh, wow.
I was always messing around.
Oh, that's
stuff like that,
So did you guys record this album yourself then, and work on it yourself?
Mostly, yes.
Oh, mostly.
Mostly, yeah. Well, like for instance, Lotus Rising.
Yes.
That's a live cut in my friend's studio.
Wow.
Aberdash Studios. And let's see, what other tunes I'm thinking of? Voyage to Golden Green. That's like half studio, half live.
Oh, I love that.
I merged them together, so I'm listen to the things where the sound changes.
That's awesome. I didn't even realize that. 'Cause that song, I love how that song just builds. That is such a great track.
Oh yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
I also love Land of Milk and Honey, because that to me sounds a little bit like late '60s psychedelic gets in there, along with the funk and the jazz.
Yeah, like Traffic. Remember Traffic?
Yes, exactly.
The High Heel Boy.
Yeah, the Low Spark of High Heel Boys. Yeah,
crazy, man. What a crazy tune. Because I had the rhythm track with the sitar sounds.
Yep.
That I got off my keyboard. I make a lot of loops and samples and stuff. So I had that, and then I put down some drums and stuff. And one night I'm sitting around, and I don't know. Let me go upstairs and turn something on, and turn on my keyboard, and I played that solo, that Moog solo.
Oh, wow.
7 minutes later, okay, done. That was amazing, man. I don't know how I did that,
That is cool.
The Moog is an instrument. So thank you for that, man. I'm trying to do a trance kind of, Land of Milk and Honey, man. We finally made it.
It worked, because that's one of my favorite tracks off the album. And now, a couple of the tracks have vocals like that. Does the vocalist Jane Brody, does she write the lyrics herself, or is she just singing lyrics that somebody else wrote?
She is a songwriter in her own right, and has some stuff out. But no, she I wrote the tunes. I wrote those tunes. I love the way she interpreted them.
That's cool. Oh, wow.
Basically, I did the lyrics and the basic melodies of them, and then came up with the background ideas. So I had several people sing. Yeah, a few other people did the leads, but she did it the best, I thought. And I really appreciated it.
Who else is guesting on the album? Because you've got some great guitar work on there, and you've got some really wild percussion going too. So, and I believe there's a pedal steel. Am I wrong on that?
Yeah. Pedal steel on Lotus Rising. That's Dave Easley.
Okay.
And he had some kind of little gadget that he made it sound more like a sitar.
Okay.
But that guy's incredible. It's like, he's on a level like a Pat Metheny or somebody, man. Just like played some amazing stuff. So I'm always glad to have him on the band. Who else was in there? I had a bass player, Chris Lacinak, who we played some gigs together in New Orleans on the record on a tune. I think one or two tunes. Yeah, Chris Lacinak and Chris Lacinak. That's the bass. Kind of fun. And then I had Brian Charette, who's a friend of mine from when I lived in New York. He's a great keyboardist, organist, internationally known. Hammond B3 downbeat old guy.
Oh, wow! And
I got him to do some synthesizer on Control, and then he played some organ on Words, the two vocal tunes.
Okay, yeah.
And and my other friend Nate played some keyboards. And Ian Cunningham is a really good funk guitarist. He's doing the chicken picking on the record.
Okay.
And I just brought different people in, and I was trying to get this one guitar part on Control, and it just wasn't really coming out. So I finally I called my friend Mark Trinacosta, who I knew could get these sounds, and that's when he came in and and he did a fantastic job on. You know, the song didn't really need a solo; it needed some kind of, you know, blasting sound, I thought. And he delivered that.
Oh,
you know, on that guitar. It's just the one thing, one chord.
But
I love that, man. I like that. Was a Smiths had a song, "Meat is Murder."
Yeah.
I don't know if you ever heard that.
Yes.
That's that guitar sound.
Yeah.
You know, and I really started getting into
sound.
the whole side. Well, I'm sorry, say?
That Johnny Marr sound?
Yes. But when I lived in New York, I started playing in the second band of my life. And that would be, excluding any high school stuff.
Right.
A band called Family of God. With a guy named Adam Peters, who was from Echo and the Bunnymen, and John Carruthers, the guitarist from Susie and the Banshees. All English guys. Yeah, I ran into these guys in New York. Somebody gave my name, and they called me up. So
wow.
We did some records.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was a pretty cool band.
Yeah.
And I learned a lot from Adam. He's, you know, he had a great work ethic. You know, 10 a.m. he's in the studio. He works all day, and you know, I'd go down and put some drums down for him and stuff. But that was back in the day of ADATs.
Oh,
you know, before the computer.
Yes.
Yeah, in the 90s, and so, you know, we didn't have all that digital editing, man. You got to lay it down and lay it down right.
Yeah. Oh, man.
I've always strive to get my playing to that level.
Yeah. And you had limited number of tracks you could use.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So
the first record I did, Primatica, I called it, was done on a ADAT, carrying it around New York City to people's houses. Like, hey, can you put this part on for me?
Oh, wow. Man.
Yeah, it's a lot of, you know, it's just a lot of fun, man. You know, you get to hang out and create music and sounds. And
so with the way recording is now, and you basically do it in your house, is it harder to edit stuff? Because I know when you have limited number of tracks, at some point you're just kind of like, all right, that's enough. If I'm going to do any more, I've got to actually take things out because I don't have any more room. Now you can layer drums upon drums upon drums. Does it get harder for you to edit?
No, it's actually easier to edit now. I mean, with the way the screens are set up. You know? But, you know, personally, I like not to have to edit.
Right, yeah. I can imagine.
Yeah. But, you know, but I do. For instance, you know, Boy, Your Golden Green, from a studio version to a live version, you know.
That's true.
And I read some stuff about, some Miles Davis records and stuff, and how they did all this editing and everything on those jazz records. I'm thinking, well, wait, if they, you know, can get away with doing that, then, you know, ultimately, you know, you want to get the best performance you can and get the spirit on tape or hard drive, whatever you put it to. But the feeling of, you know, that's what to me, that's what comes through. You know, you can have mistakes or whatever, but hopefully, you know, not blaring, but that's what you need to get on the tape when it's magic. And you can feel that when you're recording. So once that's done, though, as a producer, you want to make the best sounding record you can. So there's a lot of tools you can use to kind of enhance the actual sound of the instruments, of course, and how it all comes together. So you know, if somebody played a wrong note that sticks out, Well, you just take it out.
Yeah, that's a lot easier now. Yeah. Well, I really love the album. I mean, and I listen to Gem Chronic too. And what I love about the band is that the music is energetic, but it's not like heavy. You know, it's not like, you know, like a metal album where it's energetic just because it's furious. It's energetic, but it doesn't have you know, that heaviness that you don't always want. I mean, particularly for me on Gem Chronic tracks like Fatima. The new album Afterburn, I love Afterburn. I think is my favorite track on the album.
Cool, man.
And
yeah, I went out on that one, man. On the chorus, I like got the. There's probably 11 different instruments in there.
Wow, jeez.
You can't really decipher all of them because they're all mixed. You know.
That's awesome.
I just wanted that all boom.
Yeah, but it's not like an overwhelming. I don't feel like, you know, if you listen to, I don't know, I'll just throw out something like Tool or some heavier band. It just sounds too like it sounds oppressive almost. It's heavy. You're almost like you're weighed down by it. It's not, because you guys keep a groove going with it. It's not just pummeling you.
Yeah, I think you hit it on the head, because it's the underlying rhythm, you know, the African sensibilities and the Afro-Caribbean sensibilities in the rhythms that, you know, and the bass that is laying everything down. And, you know, plus I don't have that guitar.
Right.
Know, those groups, they have the heavy metal guitar, the, you know, heavy sounding guitars. I didn't really use the only song I used that on was In Control.
Yeah.
And it wasn't real. Yeah. I did put some fuzz guitar in Afterburn, though.
Okay. Yeah. And it's, well, yeah, but it's not
mixed in there.
Yeah. And it's not, you know, that super heavy bombastic stuff. It's very tasteful, and it you know, it's not there to be the focus.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah.
So where can
you know? I learned a lot of that from my friend Adam Peters. You know.
Oh, okay.
He dealt with sounds and stuff, and you know, he was kind of like, he was a prodigy, man. That guy, I think when he was 18, he wrote and conducted part of the London Philharmonic for that record, Ocean Rain.
Oh my God!
That was a big record for Echo and the Bunnymen, and so, you know, he was going out on his own with his partner, lyricist Chris Brick, and we did some good shows. You know, we had a good little run, but I don't know, man. We had the big wigs from the big record companies come to a show, and Adam had laryngitis and tried to get a steroid and make the gig, and he cracked. And they said, nah. And then the wind went out of the sails, man, and pretty soon, you know.
Oh, that sucks.
So, yeah, it really did suck. Man. So there's about 3 records out. That they had a record out before I joined them that just Adam produced himself, and then I think the 2 records I was participating in along with the rest of the band members. But that was a fun band, man. It was like a band, you know, with rehearse, go out heavies, as they would say.
I noticed something, and I want to ask you about this real quick, because I've kept you almost an hour at this point, so I don't want to take your entire night. But I did see that you've been involved with several musicals and reviews, and one was called Always Patsy. What is that about?
Oh yeah. Oh, okay. Always Patsy was a show about Patsy Cline, and it was portrayed by, you know, a woman playing Patsy, Margaret Bolton, she's incredible, man. She just did an incredible job. She was on San Francisco. And Carolyn, which played the part, her best friend, well, I say best friend, but a friend that she had met when she was traveling, and they kept in touch their whole lives.
Okay.
So she kind of foiled Patsy, and we were in the, it's like a country band, and my friend Dave Easley was playing pedal steel. And I'm like, hey man, you want to come play on my record?
That's awesome.
I got a gig next week. You want to come play? Yeah, I love doing that, man. It just hit people. They're like, yeah, I need, like Jenna McSwain, man. I met her I was teaching substituting for somebody at a music school, and she came walking up, and she's like, yeah, I just moved here not long ago, blah, 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 blah. She had a master's in jazz studies and all.
Oh, wow.
She played keyboard. I need a keyboard player.
Yeah.
Why don't you come over? Played some amazing stuff on Jam Chronic,
Okay.
And once she got to be known around New Orleans now, she's doing all the swank hotel gigs and stuff, playing jazz.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So and teaching at the university, and so
really?
Yeah, it took her a minute, but yeah, she really did well here. She went to school in Greeley, Colorado. Studied out there.
Oh, cool. I had to ask about always Patsy because I live in Winchester, Virginia, so it's the home of Patsy Cline. So I had to ask.
Oh, Winchester.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know that's where she was from.
Yeah. She's everywhere here. They've got a museum. They've got her house is a historic building here. It's been restored. She's everywhere.
Okay. Well, yeah, the show, Always Patsy, that was a guy named Sweeney, I think, wrote it, and it plays in different cities.
I'm going to have to check that out.
I did it twice, actually.
Oh, cool.
It was at the World War II Museum here.
Oh, okay, cool.
They have a little showroom, and they would, they put on reviews or shows. I subbed for my friend there once, and it was all kind of freaked out. When I went in, I don't know how I did it, but I sight read the show.
Oh, and, wow.
And the entertainment director was there, and she was like, oh my God, you got to do my next show. So I started doing shows there, man. And, I don't know, I did a half dozen of them, I guess. And then she left, and the whole thing changed, and I don't know what's going on over there now, but.
Man.
I'm hoping that, I can get back on a Junko Beat train, man.
Well, let's get that going. How can people find the album and purchase it and help support you while everything's still shut down a little bit? Oh,
thanks for asking. Well, we have I have two websites. I have junkobeat.com. One word, JUNKOBEAT.com.
All right.
And that's all about the band, and there's links there to the buy page, and you can download, or you could get the Satira Funk LP delivered by mail, the 12-inch vinyl, full length.
Oh, nice.
Or CD, or you can just download the whole album. And we are going to release the song "Control" as a single. That's going to probably be out about now.
Excellent.
This is 6 weeks later. And yeah, and also Drum Parade Records is the label called one word, drumparaderecords.com.
Awesome.
And yeah, so they're there, and you'll probably be able to stream the song "Control." I really want to get that song out there right now.
All right. Is there a social media presence? Are you on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or anything like that?
Yeah, I'm at this point, I'll probably have my Facebook page worked out. Yeah.
Awesome.
There'll be links. But if you go to junkobeat.com, you should, you can just follow the links to all the stuff. Trying to make a presence out there. Finally getting it together, this time off has allowed me to do this, because actually before this had happened, I was playing so many gigs that I just didn't have time.
I know the feeling.
So that's all changed.
I've been doing that with this podcast. Instead of I've been editing, but I've been recording so much, and I've got quite the backup of people waiting for their episodes to come out. So, and I release I haven't missed a week, but I just have more shows than I have weeks, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We'll catch up one day, I'm sure.
We will. Well, Chris, thank you so much for spending so much time with me and telling me some awesome stories, man. They were great.
Good, man. I hope you can use it and try to make me look good.